Okay, this is September 1994, and this is a picture of the mailbox of the house at 3236 Eastwood Valley, where Betty and Harvey have lived for 40 years. We moved in July 1954, and we've had 40 wonderful years, and we're going to just do a little tour of our house. We moved in when Susan was not quite 2 years old, and Betty was pregnant with Nancy. Well, there's Harvey, 40 years later. He wasn't so gray in those days, but this is the house that he's put a lot of work in, and we've had a lot done to it. It was a red brick little house when we bought it, and didn't have all of that shrubbery, and it did have that pine tree right there. Okay, and this is just a front view of the house. And as again I said, we've added the shrubbery, and we've added a bay window to the dining room and different doors, and over the 40 years we've had fun. Susan and Edward and their kids, and Nancy and Wayne and their kids, and Joe and Rebecca, we've had really good times here. And we just thought before we moved out in 3 weeks that we would just keep pictures of it.
We're now looking at the carport, which is part of the original house, and as we go to the right, you come to the kitchen, then the dining room where we added the bay window, and past that, of course, you come to the entranceway to the house, the front door, and then the 2 guest bedrooms.
Okay, with more pictures of the front, just some of our plantings for the year, the pretty impatiens that have been blooming all spring and summer, and they'll last a few more weeks. And the crabapple trees, and they probably need trimming this time of the year. A lot of shrubbery we've planted over the years.
We changed the front entranceway from what the house was originally. It had a single door with a light panel on the side, so the whole front entrance is different from what it was. As we added this parking area and the second driveway so that you could exit without having to back out. Basically, that's everything we did in the front of the house. Welcome to Chateau Jacobson. This is the entrance hall. To the left is our dining room.
Yeah. We've had a lot of parties in this house. Confirmation parties when Nancy, Wayne, and Joe were confirmed, graduation parties. We even had a naming for Joe and Nancy here. Susan was born in our apartment, but moved here before she was 2. And we've had many Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Passover, Thanksgiving dinner here in our dining room. The living room is pretty much the same all the times in the 40 years we've lived here. It did have a window where the piano now sits, but we closed that up when we made a porch out there. Most of the furniture is the furniture we had when we got married and lived in an apartment at 115 Peachtree Memorial. These club chairs and this break fronting chair and the sofa. The painting over the fireplace was the painting my mother and dad had at 1318 Fairview Road, where the house I was raised in. And when we moved here, Mother gave it to us. And the color scheme has always been around that picture. And that's been my favorite painting for years. Most of the paintings in this room were my mother's, Rosalie Mendel-Rahm. The candelabra figurine was Mother's. Break front was what, Harvey, am I right? Break front's what our grandparents, my grandparents, Esther and Hyman Mendel, gave us for our wedding present, the break front, right?
I don't know.
And most of the porcelains in that break front were, again, my mother's, Rosalie's. And that break front, the chair and the sofa, these lamps were a wedding present from my aunts. All of my mother's sisters and brothers and their wives gave the pair lamps for wedding presents. This is our family room now, sort of a new Florida look, but let me tell you that when we first moved in here in 1954, where that sofa sits and the high chair is sitting right now, that was just a porch, a brick floor, brick walls, a screen porch that we eventually made into a breakfast room. Where I'm standing right here was a small den. It had windows and a wall here and a door to the porch and then to the breakfast room. And we always had the fireplace. All of this was originally early American in theme with the pine paneling, and we then eventually changed it. We built a porch, and then about 5 or 6 years ago, in about 1989, we decided to tear all of this out, make it all one room, and make it sort of our Florida looking room. And we've had lots of fun with this room. We went, as you can see, we went with the pinks and the mauves and the lavenders, the different colors, different from the rest of the house. Okay, 4 or 5 years ago, it was a 35-year-old kitchen. We gutted it and remodeled it. Don Taylor from Fashion Kitchens did it for us, and it has really been a fun kitchen. Finally have it where we have. We're crazy to give it up, but it has great cabinet space. You know, where you had corner cabinets for all the glasses, and it's got room for my dishes and room for my cookbooks down here and my pots, the tops of pots. And it had a place for the coffee maker and had built-in ovens that I never had. And my pride and joy was the stove top where you don't have burners to take care of. I hate to give those up, but we're going to move out. And the microwave. And this was all refrigerator, and this is all freezer. And the greatest pantry that's ever been. I mean, I had room for everything. So I just wanted to show it all because I'm going to drool someday that I don't have it all. But we're looking to a new way of life. And these were all of this was all designed for me to get all my china. There's my Wedgwood, and there's more things up there. And this was the set of china that belonged to Harvey's mother and Aunt Lena. And anyway, it's been a wonderful kitchen. So I just wanted everybody to remember it. This is the backyard that has been all pine straw with lots of birthday parties and playground. At one time we had a truck body out there that the kids played and had a clubhouse. And then after the kids were all grown, about 12 years ago, we decided to build a swimming pool. And it has really been a lot of fun to all of us. We built the pool and had lots of parties and picnics and just fun with the family around the pool. It's been fun. Every year we've had fun planting the garden and planting around. This year we had caladiums and begonias. And we've been proud. Of course, we had a lot of rain, so it looks good this year. Okay, so we're in the backyard, and a few years ago, because we had these wonderful grandchildren, we had Mark and Robin and Allison and Eric, and even Scott now has enjoyed it, big boy, and we put in the playground. We've had the jungle gym since Susan, Nancy, and Joe were young kids, but it's still there. And this has been a wonderful yard, a wonderful house. The oldest thing in the backyard is the magnolia tree. It was much younger and smaller, but it made a great backstop for the pool. And there's Harvey. That's the way he's spent all these last 12 years. He's loved lounging around the pool, being lazy, sitting down, reading, all the kids. I think it's beautiful. It might not be in the program Rich and Famous, but it's been beautiful to us. We just added on a bathroom and a big dressing room and a big closet all in there for Daddy and me, and we've enjoyed it. People think we're crazy with all the mirrors, but we like it. And we made this 3-bedroom, 2-bath house into a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house. And this is the bedroom we added on. And this is our master bedroom that we have thoroughly loved. We've loved our furniture and the way it showed off, and we've loved living in it. And this dresser was my dad's that Harvey has really enjoyed. This bench was my mother's that we recovered. And that dresser was my mother's. And of course on the dresser are all the pictures from Joe and Rebecca's wedding. And that's everybody. This lamp was my mother's. These lamps, those mirrors were my mother's. This lamp and the mirrors over the dresser were my mother's, Rosalie's.
There's your photographer. Sorry about that.
Good. No, that's great. There's Wayne, who's kind enough to come take my pictures. I'm a pest.
Now, when your great-great-great-grandchildren are watching this,
Yeah.
100 years from now, they're going to wonder who that ugly guy was with the camera.
This is my first piece of glass art. It's probably our only expensive, well, we've got a couple others, but this one is a Littleton. And it's the bags within the bag, and we've loved that. We had the lucite piece made, you all right? Uh-oh. Especially for the TV and for this room. This used to be the end of the house, this doorway that Wayne's going through. This used to be the master bath that we added to and put a door out to the pool. We call it the cabana bath. And it's been really great for everybody going swimming.
I'm going to tell them whose bathing suits are hanging.
I think that's Wayne and Nancy's and Scott's and Eric's. And even your... and then we made a bedroom that Harvey designed a study for Betty. Made all the closets with cubbies. And this has been a great room for me. This has been my messy room. And it's a sofa bed that we've used a lot when we have whole families here to stay with us. And this was the bathroom that the children shared. Susan and Nancy's bedrooms were these rooms. And as I told you, Joe had the other one in the bath. And this part of the house is part of the original that never was touched. And this was Harvey's, this is a whole wall of family pictures. This was Harvey's grandmother. This was Grandmother Rose's mother, Ida Cora Carroll. That's the youngest couple that's been married. That's Joe and Rebecca that were married October 3rd, 1994. And over here, that's some family pictures. This was Nancy and Wayne's wedding 8 years ago. August the 19th.
23rd,
August the 23rd.
1990.
What did I say, 19?
The 19...
August 19th when Susan and Edward,
And Nancy was born on the 19th.
yeah, they became engaged. That's their wedding outside of the temple. And here's a picture of Nancy and Wayne. And here's Nancy and Wayne and Susan and Edward. Both of them were taken, they both got married at our temple on Peachtree, the temple. And that's their wedding pictures taken inside. And I have pictures like this is my grandmother and grandfather who came in 1890, and they started this whole clan of 8 children who had a reunion a couple years ago of about 150 people. And that was the picture. That's my mother's wedding picture. I have her dress. And this is my wedding picture. And that was my dad. And this is when Harvey's mother, Rose, married Dave Uran. She was a widow 25 years. And this is Aunt Lena and Uncle Joe Jacobs, who were like Harvey's second parents. They were wonderful to him and all of us. And that's when Harvey and I got married. And here are our 3 children, Susan, Nancy, and Joe, who now have families of their own. Think that looks like Scott?
Where?
Does it?
A little bit.
Eric?
So as we look down the wall of fame with all these great pictures and memories of the family, it's in looking back over 40 great years of memories, and for me personally, about 9 great years of great memories, and we'll never forget them. It's been a beautiful place.